Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your show, my show, all our show, Speak Your Mind. I've been searching, inquiring, and indeed the response I'm getting is that a large number of people are listening to this show. And I want to thank you very much for so doing. I'm glad to know that I'm bringing over the facts, the truth, and information that is pertinent to you. I want to say, however, in spite of the fact that we have freedom of expression under our Constitution, freedom of expression does not give any one of us the right to abuse the freedom of other people. I want you to be very careful with what you say. Restrain yourselves from calling names, because you might think it's a joke like so many of you do. Speak your mind means speaking your mind with common sense. I'm glad to know that the show is meeting your expectations, and I hope that we could continue to carry out a show of this kind. But I must remind you again that as the host, I've got the obligation to protect the station from suit of any kind. And regardless of what you feel about Speak Your Mind, there are times if somebody oversteps his or her bound in terms of what they say, that to any extent might damage or cause liability to the station. I'm telling you frankly, in spite of what anybody says, it is my responsibility to disconnect anybody who becomes abusive. I cannot do other than that. We want to have common sense common among us, and we want everybody to speak under the guidance of common sense and good manners. I'm going to open up this show very early because, being a candidate in the upcoming elections, I welcome your questions. You put your questions to me. I will answer them. There's not a question that I would not be prepared to answer, as long as it is moral, as long as it's a fair question, as long as it has substance, and as long as it does not interfere with the constitutional rights of anybody else. Now, as I say, and I've been saying, the British, to the people of my British Virgin Islands, the election of candidates for the legislature is not a simple matter. It is the most important responsibility of our voting members of the territory. Voters must consider very carefully the nominated candidates who are contesting seats in the House of Assembly, and vote for the ones who are best qualified for the position. And when I say best qualified for the position, in your own best judgment. Do not be guided by nice, sweet sounding jingles. Do not be led astray by nice sounding words. Seek out the facts and deal with them. Make sure you understand what each candidate is saying. Do not vote on the basis of party necessarily. It is far more important to vote on the basis of the ableness of the candidate to in fact represent you. Because democracy will prevail, whether you elect individuals or whether you elect parties. Common sense should be your guidance. Apart from academic qualifications, the single other qualification to be considered is the dedicated contribution the candidate has made to the social, educational, economical, and the national growth and development of this country during his or her lifetime. Voters must not be led astray by, again I say, nice, soothing jingles heard over radio and television. 2, sweet-sounding promises that cannot be fulfilled. Candidate must address the issues and realistically say how they are going to address the problems. Do not let the false boasting of parties fool you. Let your good, better, or best judgment guide you to choose the candidates that can best govern your country. You need to elect the best 13 of all the candidates based on the prudent use of your best judgment. Remember that failing to choose wisely now is failing to protect the future generations to come. Ladies and gentlemen, there are a number of issues that I would like you to consider. I have my own way of dealing with them, and when I say my own way, I have studied them, and I'm prepared to tell you how I will address them if ever I'm elected. 1, I am very concerned, I will continue to be very concerned, that we must work together. And by working together, we can remain the masters of our homes. 2, we must take back our children's birthrights that was given away to Bywater by our present or incumbent government. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot overlook this. To this present moment that I'm speaking, our government of 11, now reduced the cabinet because of the prorogation of the council, have not said to you and I why they voted to give Bywater a contract. Firstly, without putting it out on bid, and secondly, in spite of all the protestation that was made on all the talk shows, our government has still not yet said to us why it is so good to give Bywater the contract to produce so much water in the British Virgin Islands. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very serious matter that cannot be pushed under the rugs. Look what is happening. Right now we have a water producing plant in Boggs Bay that was being run by Ocean Conversion. We have signed a contract with Bywater to put another desalination plant in Paraquita Bay. My question to you, what is going to happen to the water plant in Boggs Bay? Why was Ocean Conversion denied their rights to operate that company in Bogos Bay, to operate that desalination plant, I will never give up fighting against this horrible injustice and betrayal of our people. It cannot be fair, and it must not be allowed. Look how silly it is. Government has undertaken all the obligations, all the liabilities, and has given Bywater a free hand to go in Paraquita Bay to produce either 1 or 2 point something million gallons of water a day. What, again, I ask, is going to happen to the plant in Bogos Bay? Why could not ocean conversion be allowed to continue to operate that plant? As far as I understand, that plant would remain vacant. What are we going to do with it? Throw it away? In a time when money is so hard to come by, in a time when our local businesses are going bankrupt, are going out of business, in time when the whole world is in a recession, does it make any human sense? Is there any common sense in that? They need to come out and tell us, one, why they gave the contract to Bywater, and two, what is going to happen to the water plant in Bogos Bay once Bywater has put its own plant in operation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a serious, serious matter. It is good, I've heard some people talking about staffing the civil service. Thank God up to now we haven't had to lay off any civil servants. And I want to make sure that we maintain our civil servants for as long as we can, because we do have obligations. They have the obligations financially to meet, and to just take up wildly and put civil servants out of a job, while we have given our elected representatives $2,000 a month to live in their own homes. Do you understand what this means? That $2,000 a month is a lot more than some civil servants are getting. Where is the check and balance in the spending of the economy? All of us have problems now. Whoever's in business has problems. I've heard it said that we are not in an area that is affected by this global thing. But don't be fooled. This global financial situation is going to be with us for longer than we think. And I'm asking this government that is now coming out to ask you for a vote to put them back in there. After selling you out, I suppose to sell you again. Why have they given the contract to Bywater to create a new desalination plant? What is going to happen to the desalination plant in Bogos Bay? Why could not Ocean Conversion continued to have operated that plant? This is a serious matter, particularly in a time when the economy is at so low an ebb and flow. Ladies and gentlemen, we must protect and defend our lawful rights to the access and the use of our beaches. In a number of areas we are being refused and being obstructed from having free access to our public beaches. And I want to underline that public beaches. But let me go back to Bywater. The government of the day in its broadcasts, speaking to the people, are telling you that Ocean Conversion was producing water at a higher cost than Bywater has promised to do it, or Bywater has been signed up to do it. It is not true, because the cost of electricity was not included and is not included in the production of the water that Bywater will be producing. It was included in Ocean Conversion production, because Ocean Conversion had to pay electricity bills. But Bywater will not have to pay any electricity bills. And you know today that your electricity bill is twice what it should be because of the cost of fuel. Ladies and gentlemen, do not be fooled. You are not being given the truth. We need a thorough investigation in this contract by Bywater. Let's go down the line again. We must manage and run our own hospital if medical care is to remain affordable. If we take our hospital, look at the size of it, when that is in fact put into operation, and give it to a Canadian company to run, what will it cost us? We, as the patients that are going to that hospital, will have to be billed in order to pay and maintain this management company. I'm going to go back, she's poor lady, she's not up on her feet now, but to Matron Donovan, Sister Donovan. She trained our staff, our nurses. They came out of school. She made sure they got the first 2 years training in the hospital and were then sent away for the other 2 or 3 years when they became fully registered and qualified nurses. It isn't something that we cannot do. We can do it. We can do it. And that whole hospital scenario again must be investigated. Something smells somewhere. I smell the rat, like the Calypsonian says. I smell the rat. And we have to do something to stop it eating up the cheese. We want affordable medical care. If you can't pay for your medical help, then you're sure to die with the first bout of sickness that you get. We must keep medical care as inexpensive as we possibly can, not create a white elephant for the poor people of the British Virgin Islands. Not everybody can afford it. Going down, we must now develop our own lands rather than sell them. Ladies and gentlemen, we own the land. Without the house, without the land, you cannot build a house unless you build it in the sea on stilts. We need to develop a pattern of growth in the British Virgin Islands that would allow our investors from abroad to jointly invest with us, the people who own the lands, and to develop the lands. Beware landers, it can be done. Because when someone comes from abroad and they purchase your land, it's the same bank they go to, the same trust company they go to. Unless there's discrimination somewhere, why can't you borrow money, coming together as a good corporation of investors, and develop your own land? We got to begin to think carefully. We got to begin to think wisely, because we will lose everything. We must maintain free education for children. If Cuba can do it, why can't we? If Cuba can do it, why can't we? Cuba is on record for having the highest level or percentage of literacy in the Western world. Cuba is also on record of having the highest standard and quality of medical care. And both of those two things are free in Cuba. Why can't we use Cuba as an example? We must protect the jobs of our people. You may hear what this say, and that say, and the other say. But our labor code is designed to make sure that belongers, residents, qualified residents, and so on, get preference to the jobs. And we must carry out with the law. We must stick with the law. We must make sure our own people get the jobs first. We must control the demographic development of our country. This is not what I am just saying. I read a letter that was written by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office many years ago during the life of the late H.L. Stout, that we must do exactly that. No attention is being made to that. No attention is being paid to that. If we are going to maintain a stable and strong country, a strong economy, we must look after that problem. Maintaining a healthy balance of good demographic development is essential. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to open up this show now, and I'm going to ask you to ask me any question on what I've just said, and I will answer you. I promise that I will answer you without fear. I'm not going to be like those who are going to lie to you. I'm not going to be like those who are going to hide behind arm and if and but and when. Leadership of the British Virgin Islands is a serious matter. We have been the owners of our lands for hundreds of years, and it's slipping away from us. And we've got to check that slipping and protect our people and help them to develop their lands and help them to develop their businesses. We have got to prevent a number of cases in which there is unfair business practice in this British Virgin Islands. We have got to look at regulations to govern people who are renting apartments, etc., to people. Some people are being treated as if they're property, and that must not be allowed. We have to protect our people against abuse. And as I say, this show is now open up. Ask any questions. As long as it is answerable, I will refrain from calling names or identifying people, particularly people in the private sector. You can refer to your elected representatives, but even then and there, you must be careful about what you say, how you say it, because everybody has rights that I, as the host here tonight, must defend, and also to protect the station and myself from lawsuits. And that I'll have to do. I cannot tell you anything else than that. I will have to protect this station from any unwanted or unwarranted abuse. So, as I say, the show is open up. Mr. Courtney has arrived. I'm going to give him the opportunity to say good night. I think he might have one issue or one subject or whatever to lay before you.
Well, good night to our viewing audience. I think we
You got your thing on?
I got my mic on. Yeah. We're here again, Edmund, at this time, days now before election, and I think we have to speed up the dialogue with the people. I think I know a number of things happen that is setting the stage for the election already. The voters list is out. We know the date for election. There was two debates so far. Well, first debate and a second debate with the what do you call it? The parties, the organized parties. But as you rightfully pointed out, we haven't seemed to muster the willpower to engage the independent.
Mention this thing about independence.
The independent candidates.
No, independence.
Yeah.
Don't forget I told you if you're going to do it.
Yeah. I'm
Let's
aware.
don't waste time on other things.
Okay.
Get into that.
All right.
Just like I got into my issues here.
Yeah. So I was saying that we have, a number of things happening that are basically related to the 2011 election, and we have to seriously engage the people of these islands to speak up now, or the results from the election wouldn't be as you expect them to be if you don't speak up now. And I'm saying that to the general public, anyone that's hearing us, that now is a good time to raise any of the issues that you feel are important issues at this time.
Courtney, I've said that already. Get into the point I've asked you to get into.
Yeah. Well, when we come,
if you don't come early, you'll be going over the same things I've gone over already.
Okay, well, I ain't
go
gonna
into the issue you want to go into. You don't have it tonight?
I have a whole list of things that we're going to try to talk about. We're going to look at.
We decided that you would speak about a certain issue. Do you have it ready?
I can expand on it anytime, Edmund, because that is one of the
that's what I'm asking you to do.
Yeah, well, I am of the opinion that we are going to move forward in an independent way, one way or another in this country, and I think we have to prepare our people to move in that direction. And I would preface it by saying that I have ran independently in 2003, 2007, and I will again in 2011. Our people, from my understanding, are very reluctant to going forward with an independent philosophy. And let me explain to you what I mean by independence philosophy. A philosophy that one day we will be able to stand on our own 2 feet like any other country.
Courtney.
Yes.
You have said to me, don't waste the people's time. We got a lot of things to do. You have said to me that going independent will be one of your issues. I want to give you the opportunity.
So Edmund, I'm explaining.
You're wasting too much time. You saying something, but you don't want to say it. Are you interested in moving forward to independence?
I am interested in.
How do you wish to do this?
By a process of educating the public, the persons who would be independent, by educating them about what independence really means for the country. How the country is going to be different from how it is now if it is independent. What are the pros and what are the cons? Okay? Some of the important things are the sea limits that we have right now. And to be able to manage and dictate what happens for a much wider border than we have right now, to be able to manage it effectively would be one of the big issues if we were decided to go independent.
But if we were to go independent, Courtney, isn't the sea border and sea boundaries controlled by international law?
Yes, that's right.
How are we going to be able to influence that other than what exists in terms of... You see, I want to help you push the situation. If you're thinking about it, let's do it. How are we going to be able, as a territorial dot on the face of the globe, to in fact alter what already exists?
Well, before this question came up, we were talking about 12 miles as our border. 300 miles is a much wider and much more extensive area. Okay? And it takes into consideration a lot of things. It would look at oil exploration. It would look at deep sea fishing. It would look at a number of things, and it would, of course, would mean you would have to have some kind of a Coast Guard service, and you would also have to have agreements with all your border countries.
How do you see us extending our border?
It has already been it has already been extended.
300 miles?
Yes,
To where?
to the north. It has already been extended.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Those regulations are already there.
They're already there.
How could we?
We are not managing it.
Oh, I see. No, this is exactly what I was trying to do. What you were saying, and which I would like you to get over to the people. We, like everything else, we manage in the BVI. We are not managing our sea rights.
We are not managing our sea rights.
Okay, that's a very important
We're not
issue.
managing our resources,
Right.
our natural resources.
Right,
Period.
I see where you're coming from.
And if we're going to develop as a country to become independent, you have to be more serious about management
I see
of the
your point.
assets that you have as a country. Look, the European Union in their partnership with us, with the UK, right? They're now talking about a new agreement in 2012.
Yes.
I don't know if you've gotten any information about that, but the information
Yes,
that
I heard a little bit about it over the news.
no, directly. I have gotten information directly to me,
Yes.
and it is saying that they're looking for a new partnership that's going to have a total different arrangement. And if this is the case, if we don't prepare our people, it will be trust on them. They would not know what the details of the partnership is. Imagine I having a partnership with you and you don't know what the partnership is. I don't think it's the right way to lead people.
But don't forget the point we are talking about is
We're talking
independence.
about independence, but we're also talking
So-
about how to get independent.
No. How could we operate other than within the global arena?
We will be all independent
yes.
countries operate in the global arena. As a matter of fact, they do so more because they have a say at the United Nations. They can get up and speak in the United Nations, where all the representatives of each nation would listen to them.
Okay, we'll take a break out and we'll come back. I want to have
Okay.
you move over. Take a break and we'll come back to that.
Hi, I am Tanisha Harrigan Scott, and I am here to bring you some exciting news from Digicel. Now you can talk more and text more for only $15. A great new price point from Digicel, the bigger, better network. Have you heard? When you top up $15 or more, you get incredible deals with Digicel. Get 100 free minutes, unlimited SMS, and free weekends for 7 days to local Digicel numbers. Top up $15 again, and it will automatically be extended for another 7 days. For more information, drop by our store or visit our website at www.digicelbbi.com. Digicel terms and conditions apply.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're right back. You have a next text there, Courtney?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Let's see what it says.
Courtney, you need to go independent with your own show and stop being governed by Edmund.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me say something to you all. I am trying to help Mr. De Castro. For the last 4 or 5 months, he said he wants to do this. He wants to talk about independence. All I'm trying to do is to help the man. I don't know, you all out there don't seem to have any level of understanding at all. All I'm trying to do is to help Mr. De Castro to move forward. I'm not like those people who are going to be telling you this is a cat and when they know it's a dog. I'm a frank, forward, and upright man. And this is what I'm hoping on my show. If Mr. De Castro wants to take your advice, it's just as good for me. I'm only trying to help him. Yeah, Courtney, what else?
Well, let's see. Do Do you think the UK will take over the BVI governance within the next 4 years?
Texter, the last thing I would like to see is the UK government taking over the governance of this country. I don't think it's in UK interest at all to try to do something like that, and that the UK must act more maturely. If this government or any government is performing wrongfully or not in the best interest of the people, then the UK government, rather than taking over, should set aside the government of the day by whatever means it can and call a new general election. We have reached a level of development already that we should not be dealt with in that fashion. I regard what the UK did in the Turks and Caicos Island as being wrong. They should have fallen the government and given the people the opportunity to elect a new government, and if there were any good reasons after inquiry, investigate the people, and if they were found wrong, deal with them in the courts.
Well, Edmund, I have to agree with you. I have to agree with you with that, because up to this point they haven't arrested anybody.
Exactly.
And up to this point they even haven't
said what was truly wrong.
Said what was truly wrong. They haven't set up a prosecutor to prosecute anyone.
Exactly.
And they have an interim government which is made up of Turks and Caicos islanders and expatriate.
Without election.
Without election. And there's no sign of an election in sight.
That is wrong.
Yeah,
I would never like to see the UK government coming here under those terms.
So we must be mindful as well that some of the same things that are happening here, the types of things that happen in the Turks and Caicos, the misuse of Crown land.
Yes.
Okay, where Crown land was being sold or leased for, extravagant amounts of monies, and in some cases given to friends and as part of agreements.
And only God knows what else.
And only God knows what else. Okay, that's one of the scenarios in the Turks and Caicos, right? We have similar situations on Virgin Gorda, where we have 300 acres of Crown land being leased
to one person.
To one person. Yeah, and
that is wrong.
And also we have some agreements where land was leased for $1.40 an acre.
That is wrong.
That is wrong. But you see, these types of things are the types of things that are not good governance.
Exactly.
They're not good governance, right? Exactly. When taxpayers' monies are involved, I think we need government that could be straightforward, upright, and transparent.
Right.
You must be transparent. If you're not transparent, it's very likely you're hiding something.
And one of the things, if Britain was really mindful of good governance, Britain should have stepped in with this same by water ocean conversion problem, because the people protested against it. And it's the people's government.
It's the people's money.
It's the people's money.
Yeah.
And Britain, while Britain has an agreement with us to guarantee payments of any loans, here's where she should have come in and say, yes, let the people do their own business. That is one piece of bad misgovernment. Because if we are democracy, then the people's wishes must be carried out.
What is it? The democracy of the people, by the people?
By the people, for the people.
For the people.
And there is where we didn't have good supervision from the United Kingdom government. I'm not afraid to say that. And those of you out there who think I'm going to be afraid to stand up for my country, put a different hat on your head.
We have about three.
Let's use them again. Let's see what they're saying about God.
If you're trying to help him,
leave them foolish people alone. Just leave them alone.
Good night to you both, Courtney. VIP need to have some respect. They are backing and biting, and the NDP. And the truth is, before everyone, need to tell the truth and stop backing. The campaign don't make any sense to the people.
Courtney, that's a good text.
Yeah.
And the fact about it is, what the VIP should be doing is to tell us why they gave by water the contract. They haven't said so yet. They're still hiding behind something that the people do not know. And they should be telling us, why do we need a company from Canada to run our hospital when we can do it ourselves? At best, the most I could see us getting from Canada are qualified people at this time to act in certain positions until our people are trained. You don't have to go and sign a contract with a big company. When you look, we can't pay.
That is another. That is. I was telling you the things that happen in the Turks and Caicos.
Yes.
That same company.
Exactly.
From Canada is in Turks and Caicos, and they're managing the 2 hospitals that they have in the Turks and Caicos. Okay. And I need I say any more?
No, but tell us, make the point.
No, but the point I'm making is we're making some of the same mistakes that were made in the
So
Turks
what
and
you're
Caicos.
saying is the Turks and Caicos are already suffering from having made that mistake of employing this Canadian company.
Of employing this Canadian company.
And we've fallen right into the same boot.
We have already signed a contract with them.
We have signed a contract already?
That's right.
May God see for us all.
Another text. I agree with De Castro. Our present situation is unpredictable and precautious. We need to discuss independence. Thank you, my brother or sister.
Is Naba trying to get you to do? Come
Mr.
out
De Castro,
and talk about
stop
what
telling
you
Edmund
want to
Bully
talk
on the national TV.
about. Do what?
I'm going to stop letting Edmund bully me on
Because if
national
you want
TV.
to go home, go home. I'm tired of nonsense with people out there who cannot see common sense. I'm trying to help you. If you were running, we'd have to work one with the other. You can speak to me the same way. There's somebody out there now who don't have anything to do, who don't know A from Bullfoot, trying to disturb and mash up the show here tonight. We are not here for that. We have an aim. Mr. De Castro has an aim to run. As his friend, as his host, I'm going to do everything to help him. So just stop talking nonsense, wherever you are.
Edmund, I want to raise the lawsuit issue with the
That's a good point.
with the Beef Island project.
Yes.
And update the public a little bit about what's happening with the case was on Tuesday. And we have a call.
Yeah. Good evening.
Good evening. You ever speak your mind? Go right ahead, please.
Yes, good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, caller.
Mr. Maduro, I want to commend you for assisting Mr. De Castro in setting his platform.
Thank you very much, caller.
Those critics out there are not listening to what's going on. And I'm going to hold a little against Mr. De Castro for not coming directly forward. I appreciated the way you tried to pull his thoughts out of his head. Continue. And Mr. De Castro, do not be afraid. Set your platform straight and continue to talk to the people. And don't let Mr. Maduro sidetrack you either, even though I think you're being helpful tonight. Continue, gentlemen.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you for that call. Yes, you see, Courtney, what that caller just called and said is exactly what I have in my mind. If you see me going the wrong road, say, Maduro, I think you're going the wrong road. What is wrong in that? If you see I could improve on what I'm saying, Maduro, if you had said this way, if you said what you think about so and so, that is what we're here for, as hosts and co-hosts. You can't let these people out there run the show. They don't know what they're talking about.
Okay. I was saying though, the court case.
Yes, that's very important, Kurt.
With quorum against the Virgin Islands Environmental Council. It was scheduled for Tuesday, and the documents were served on Monday. So the Environmental Council had no choice but to seek an adjournment.
Yes.
So that is where the case is at this point. The Virgin Islands Environmental Council had applied for leave from the High Court to take the case to the Privy Council. And the two parties involved are objecting to it. So we have to.
Two parties.
Well, the suit is against the BVI government, and the interested party, of course, is Hung, which is a developer.
Now, Courtney, look at this one. You all are trying to protect an environmental sensitive area of our seabed. Is that what you're trying to do? With the Hans Creek thing?
Yes.
Should not our government be there right behind you all to make sure it's done?
Yes.
So why are they still coming out and asking us for a vote to go back in to do more of it? The thing is already a declared fisheries protected area. And I'm a little bit upset with which court come up with the last thing?
Which
With
court?
some Caribbean, the three judges, where they come from?
The Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court.
I am disappointed with the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court because I'm going to say to that court right now that for Hans Creek to be used as a part of that development, three Mr. Judges, honorable judges, you have to go back and turn around and make Hans Creek no longer a reserved area before you could give it up to abuse. As long as it's a fisheries reserved area, it must be protected. And with the leaching of the fertilizers and whatnot that they were going to use for the Gulf Coast, it is sure that that was going to happen. It was going to hurt the fisheries reserved area. And in no part of the world, Britain, United States, Canada, do they destroy the fishing situation. If they're going to do anything that is negative or positive, they make sure that that is corrected. They're building a dam, for instance, in Canada. They make special steps for the fish to go up in the mountain to lay their eggs, don't they? The salmon and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
I don't know what is happening to us.
Well, I'll tell you, the judge said that, you know, the Environmental Council took a serious step, and he commended us for the work that we have done so far. He said it's not only important for here in the Virgin Islands, but for in the entire Caribbean.
It's important for the entire Caribbean. Yeah. And those three judges couldn't see that.
We have a call.
Yeah, we have a call.
Yeah. Good evening. You've speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Good night.
Good night, caller.
Yes, once a contract is signed, can it be returned without going through?
Yes.
Can it be what?
Can it be returned to the person without going through?
Yes.
Once a contract is
She
signed.
said once a contract is signed, can it be returned to the person without going through? She's asking if there are clauses in a contract that allow you to walk away from a contract. Usually there are.
There are ways in terminating a contract.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's the correct terminology. There's a termination
there
clause.
should always be
There should, now mind you what we're saying, there should be a termination clause in each contract.
Right.
However, if the contract does not have a termination clause, it might, that might be the problem.
You have a follow-up question to that caller?
Okay, no, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right.
Now, adding to what the caller said there, we only need to take Wickham's Key for an example. The Bait Hill thing. It was overturned. But the one thing about it, caller, in something like that, there's usually a liability. The person with whom the contract was signed can turn around and sue for damages.
For damages, yeah.
As long as that is possible, then the courts will award them the damages. But what we are saying, in the view of the Bywater thing, it is good enough to stop it now, because it is too much money going out of the hands of beaver landers to go abroad. There are also other ways, like the Talk Show Alliance suggested to the Premier, sit down and renegotiate a deal with Bywater, which would allow all local company to produce water. Okay? Give, perhaps as we suggested, Bywater a greater stake in the water and sewage deal, which would anyhow compensate them for anything they might lose out of the other deal. But nonetheless, everything is negotiable still. Don't forget that there are several areas, sensitive areas, that the people of the British Virgin Islands are concerned with. And if this thing is investigated and unfair positions can be discovered, then the people can also take action. You see, law and governance is a sensitive thing. I want to praise what you call it, the environmental.
Virgin Islands Environmental Council.
I want to praise that council highly for taking the steps that they took, because they were trying to show the powers that be, we have rights, we have constitutional rights, we have lawful rights. And that's all you all were trying to do, to try and stop the destruction of Hans Creek. Now, I also want to say to the public tonight, I will be one of the first to try and make sure that the Beef Island project gets underway, but not to the destruction of a fishery reserved area, not to the destruction of our environment, not to the destruction of our ecology. So all those things must be taken care of. But I would like to see, even though there are other ideas, I would like to see from my personal self that something be done to clarify the problem of damage to the fisheries area, and to, with all the necessary haste, let the contract get underway.
Let's see, we have a couple of
We got a couple more texts. Yeah?
ideas.
Sure.
Hi, Mr. Maduro and Mr. De Castro. How are you all doing? Well, I want to know why the BVI is not using pounds currency instead of US currency. The BVI is a British country. I'm listening. Thank you.
The reason why we use the US dollar is because of the bulk of our trade is with the United States, has been with the United States for the last 100 years. And it is easier, as long as we can use US currency, than to use the British pound.
Okay, let's take a call.
Yeah.
Good evening. You're speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah, good night, man.
Good night, caller.
Good night.
Yeah, you need to expand the airport.
Speak a bit louder. Could you put your mouth a bit closer to the phone?
Over the airport.
I can barely hear you.
You need to expand the airport.
You need to expand the airport?
Yeah.
Let me ask you, is it better to expand the airport or to put an international airport on Anegada? I know the Anegadians don't like it, but let me hear your view.
Yeah, all unnecessary needed. We need to expand the airport, bring in bigger planes and stuff. And more.
Could you speak a bit louder, please?
That's right, we're not hearing you. That's what I'm trying to say from the beginning.
I'm saying, right? You need more tourists in the island, so you need to expand the airport. So we can make more rooms for the bigger planes to come in.
But do you realize that by extending the airport in Beef Island, it is going to cost 10 times as much as to build an airport in Anegada?
Yeah, you have a point.
You're going to be building in the sea.
No, I see. Well, now it'll be more expensive. Well, the more you have to spend it on Anegada, spend it on Tortola to refurnish the airport.
You're still not trying to improve your communication with us. I can barely hear what you say.
You need to speak into the microphone.
You need to speak into the microphone of the telephone.
Yeah, I've been saying, okay? The airport here, we need a bigger airport. I mean, to expand the airport.
Yeah, you're correct. We need a bigger airport. But is the expansion of the airport necessarily the solution? That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, why?
We just explained to you that it's more expensive to do it at Beef Island than, for example, to do it at Anegada.
But we don't need it in Anegada.
Sorry?
What?
We don't need it in Anegada.
So don't the Anegadians suffer the same thing as us by having the airport in the Beef Island?
This is the mainland.
How are we going to be so selfish? The best place to put that, even though I know my Anegadian buddies disagree with me, is on Anegada. Anegada has great potentials, not only for airlift cargo, but for sea cargo as well. We can become the center of distribution of freight right here in the Caribbean.
No,
We can become a distribution
colleague,
center.
the last man who was saying that was Noel Lloyd, you know.
Well,
And
Noel was saying something good.
And no one voted for him for saying that. Let's put me on your guard.
no. I'm not here to lead my people astray.
All right, buddy.
You vote for me for what I would like to do. If you don't think what I would like to do, talk to me. I can see what you
I
say.
have a text here, so okay, I have to go back to it. We have a call. Good evening. You speak your mind. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good evening, gentlemen. My name is Larry Reimer. I wish to make a small point on the program.
Yes, Carl.
Go right ahead.
Yes, Mr.
Thank you very much. The matter of expanding the airport, before we get to that, I would like to suggest that the government of the Virgin Islands now consider carefully its future development plans and that it takes into consideration now that we should at least have an additional 100 acres of those lands set aside for future development before we talk about expanding the airport.
You mean the lands?
When we do get around to expanding the airport, we need to talk about additional hotel rooms on the island. The two must go hand in hand. And one other little point, the matter of the Environmental Council, I think, Brother Courtney, you have raised a very important point. We intend to press this matter all the way. We're not going to give up on it. It's an important matter, and I thank you, gentlemen, for bringing it up this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colin.
Thank you, Brother Rama.
Yes.
While you were speaking, something came to mind. Something came to mind, and that is that when we were doing the expansion, the present expansion of the Beef Island Airport,
yes,
we needed a small strip of land. That land cost us $3 million. Okay? Where, it is good to say, develop Beef Island Airport. Okay? But I don't think a lot of people are really looking at the logistics of it.
Thank you very much.
And they're not looking at the cost of it.
Thank you very much.
Building an airport in the sea
is
nowhere near the cost of building an airport on a land. It's two totally different things. When you go to Hawaii, you think you go to every island, you go to one island.
Exactly.
You go to Honolulu.
And Honolulu has a large
big international airport.
Right.
And then Hawaii Airline take you to all other islands.
Take the Bahamas.
Bahamas the same thing.
It's the same thing.
You go to one island, and if you want to go Cat Island, you go in a small plane.
Take the United States of America.
Yeah.
There are many direct hubs from Europe to United States.
That's right.
But in a number of cases, in many cases, you have to take another smaller plane to get where you want. So I don't know why we are allowing this to become a big issue.
We see, and but it's about talking. It's about dialogue.
It's about dialogue.
And if you don't dialogue, you don't get to these points.
If you don't dialogue is the essence of negotiation.
I've seen a lot of plans for Beef Island. I've seen one that speaks to totally changing the direction of the airport so you could have instrumentation landing, okay? Which is the most ideal situation.
But that you can do in Anegada.
Which you can do in Anegada. And the one in Beef Island, to do that, you mean building a completely new alignment.
And as far as I recall, when I went to Anegada, the lands reserved for the airport is almost, if not fully capable of taking down the airport.
I think it's 10,000 feet.
But that's what you want?
Yeah, 10,000 feet.
That 10,000 feet is already there reserved.
Yeah. Good evening. You're free to speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
How are you this evening?
Trying to stand live.
Good. If the British Virgin Islands is going to be significant in the development of the 21st century, we cannot leave Anegada out of the picture. I called the show many times, and I have a few little things I would like to say.
Please do.
If Anegada is about to play its role, then we have to develop the airport. We have to develop the seaport.
Thank you very much, Carla.
We have to put a medical training center on the east side of Anegada, make a highway, have trade between Tortola and Vajangada every day. That's how you grow an economy.
That's right.
We're going to stay forevermore talking about everything will happen in Tortola.
Yes.
And we're going to look at Anegada and take Anegada to be able to deliver Tortola in the 21st century.
Thank you, Carla.
Don't kid yourself. Noel Lloyd is not a dummy. Neither was Walter de Castro a dummy.
That's right.
So we in the British Virgin Islands, if we want to play an effective role in this industrial revolution, we have to develop the third country.
That's right.
Whether people in Anegada like it or not, or people in Tortola like it or not, if we continue playing the foul, other people will come from elsewhere and do it.
And not only that, our country will fall behind because other Caribbean islands will do it.
Well, we are about to fall behind because we're not getting behind the 8 ball.
Exactly.
Anyhow, thank you, gentlemen, very much.
Caller,
And no,
thank you.
furthermore, let me say this again.
Yes.
As we speak about Beef Island, I have already said 2 things. It is either we put the cruise ship harbor up there, pay the man for his land, and make a local commercial center so that we can have banks and shops and put our local people into business.
Yes.
You have to have ideas to develop your country.
That's right.
Not just talking nonsense and selling out the country to foreign people. You know, you read in the fine print, and when you wake up the next morning, we got to run the button of the responsibility to pay back people for making mistakes.
Yeah, before you go, look what happened in Virgin Gorda. All the seafront is gone. There's no place for local people to develop.
That's because those people had diplomacy and strategy. And when they move into Virgin Gorda, the first thing they do was lease the land. So by the time Virgin Gorda people would open up their eyes, the land was already tied up.
Okay.
And if our leaders are blind like mice, then all they can do is talk guile and talk bad about each other.
Yep.
All they do is defiling the country.
Right.
If we go to play a significant role in the growth of the British Virgin Islands, and tourism is our second pillar, well, we better get on the job, eh? Thank you very much.
Caller, thank you a million times for that call. You hit the
Thank you.
nail on the head. We got to take a break now, ladies and gentlemen, and be right back to you.
Hi, I am Tanisha Harrigan Scott, and I am here to bring you some exciting news from Digicel. Now you can talk more and text more for only $15. A great new price plan from Digicel, the bigger, better network. Have you heard? When you top up $15 or more, you get incredible deals with Digicel. Get 100 free minutes, unlimited SMS, and free weekends for 7 days to local Digicel numbers. Top up $15 again, and it will automatically be extended for another 7 days. For more information, drop by our store or visit our website at www.digicelbvi.com. Digicel terms and conditions apply.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're right back with you. We've been having some extremely good calls from the people who
And text.
and we want you to continue. That's what we're here for. We want the rest of this election period to be just like that. Speak out, put your calls, make your comments.
Let me read that text there. Okay. It says, Courtney, don't let anyone come between you and Mr. Maduro. He's just encouraging you to speak out. And please let the people know to vote wisely. Don't be fooled. Now it's the chance to do the right thing.
Exactly. Courtney, I'm glad somebody out there can see what I'm trying to do.
Another one. How do you develop the seabed in Anegada with only 10 feet of water? You're talking foolishness. Well, thanks for telling me that I'm talking foolishness, but we were not talking about developing the seabed. We were saying that the Beef Island expansion, you would have to develop the seabed. In Anegada, it's all flat land. You wouldn't have to go into the sea. So I think if you thought we were talking about going in the sea in Anegada, you were wrong. That's not what we're saying. We're saying to develop Anegada. There's an area already designated for 10,000 feet of airport. Why don't we establish a medical affiliation with Cuba? That's a very good point.
It's a good question. Very excellent point.
That's a very good point, because we may be the only Caribbean country that doesn't have any affiliation with
And
Cuba.
I'll tell you something, Courtney, in addition to what the person says, it's simple. That Cuba ain't going to cost us a cent.
Yeah.
Cuba will send her personnel here free of cost to us. That's what Cuba does with the rest of the Caribbean
We have
islands.
another text that came in. Said the cost is cheaper to extend the runway at Beef Island than to build a new terminal plus a new runway on Anegada. The new terminal at Beef Island cost us what, 70 million? Oh no, that's not true. It didn't. The terminal didn't cost us 70 million plus a new runway. I don't know if we can afford. Those figures are not correct.
What some of the people don't understand, but
Yeah.
by changing around the route of the airport, because that's what they're talking about, shifting it and all kinds of things,
sure.
they're going to have to build a new terminal. So the people don't yet understand the cost.
Good evening, sirs. For many years I have mentioned about placing the airport on Anegada, but I was told Longlook people would be upset. I have also, for many years, I asked why Virgin Gorda don't have its own generator plant and feeder the power back to East End via the existing underwater land.
That's it.
So it will be most cost effective. You
Yes.
only have the people on Virgin Gorda complaining when the hurricane come or when one of those drunken driving knocked down a pole and there is no power for days. It is 1960. It's 1960 events in Virgin Gorda. Please give me your views, Mr. DeCastro and Mr. Maduro. That's excellent text. Excellent text.
Very excellent.
The whole power station, the laws governing the BVI Electricity Corporation needs to be revisited.
Yep.
They're outdated and they don't take into consideration a number of things in 2011.
Right.
We need to take a serious look at restructuring
Right.
the entire
But Courtney, you know,
corporation.
you see the beauty in
And-
what we're doing here, because we asking them to give us their views.
Of course.
Because should we get elected, it's those views we got to be dealing with,
Yes, sir.
not with our own personal, selfish ideas.
The only local person in Virgin Gorda with beachfront property is Andy Flex, and he was the smart one. That is correct. That's Fisher's Cove.
There might be one or two
There
persons
might be one or
with a
two,
small
yeah,
piece
yeah,
here.
yeah. The cost is cheaper to extend the runway at Beef Island than to build a new one. That's the same text, but that person obviously don't know what
Don't
they're saying.
understand the situation.
And they keep sending the same text all the time. I don't know why. But maybe they have some pecuniary interest in.
Well, they're talking
extending
about
Beef
pushing
Island.
down the hill in Beef Island.
Yeah.
If they're going to do that, right away they're getting in the way of development.
I don't know about you, but I was in St. Thomas when they pushed down the mountain to
I understand all that.
to make the
But I
airport.
want to make this point. If they're going to shift the airport where they got to push down that mountain, isn't a new airport?
No. It is the total project will be a new,
It has to be a new airport.
Yeah.
And it is going to run so close to the present terminal building.
And if-
that might have to be pushed down too.
And if anyone from the aviation industry would call and verify, I would say something right now.
Yeah.
There's a curved entrance to enter Beef Island. Good evening. You've reached Speak Your Mind. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, good night, guys. Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night, Colin.
Speaker of mine, I would like to ask you a question. If having a database in the BCI,
Could you speak into the phone, please? You're very faint.
okay, what I'm saying, database, it is a good thing to put in immigration, right? Like people who travel, like when you go to St. Thomas and you put a finger to get a fingerprint, you would like to see it happening in the BVI?
Well, it's improving the system. It would be a great improvement to the BVA.
We're calling, from the time you said database, the first thing come to my mind is the census. And we can't even get a census before the election. But what you're saying is correct. If we had a database where they could keep known individuals or everybody, as a matter of fact, in a database, when you travel, they'll be able to identify your movements, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I listened to the 3rd District man. It seemed like you were telling people a lot of negative things about it. I don't know if you hear it.
No, I didn't hear him.
You didn't hear it. You know, it's something that the BVI, first thing was saying is the NDP want to bring this thing here. You know, and it's like...
But Carla, you know already that we have an identification system already, your social security number. We do have an identification system already.
And I think people need to learn a lot of things, because if you go to St. Thomas 20 times, you have to put your finger on the thing 20 times.
Exactly.
You know.
And if you look a certain way and your name spelled a certain way, you might even have to put it 40 times.
And you see, caller, instantly the immigration officer at the port of entry knows who that person is.
Yes.
Right. So I don't see where he makes a kind of negative thing on a post.
Perhaps you don't understand it.
No, because let me tell you something, Speaker Mine. Right now I see the VI party want to play with people's mind and also want to keep people under the foot blind to a lot of things what's going on right here in the BVI. You understand? So if people don't open their mind and think for themselves, they will be fooled all the time.
You're quite right.
You know, and the next thing I want to tell you, Speaker Mine, this white envelope, I see people is not looking into that, which I think the election should have had somebody undercover to find out these things happening. But it seems like it comes upon that everybody's speaking about who getting money, who getting paid.
Yep.
And you see what's happening today? It is teaching the youngsters how to be corrupt
Carla, you're so right.
and do corrupt things. You know,
Let me tell
and
you
they
something.
They say they love the youth, which right now I think the politicians right now teaching them how to be corrupt.
They're playing with the future of the young people.
Yes, because if you have to give me some money to vote for you and you know I'm doing wrong, and I shut up because you give me $200, $500, I know it's something wrong you're doing. What that is, you show me how to go ahead to take out the money from elsewhere.
But that thing needs to be stopped, and somebody needs to be made an example out of it.
Because no one is taking any stand about it.
Yes?
It comes to like a norm thing that the politician is not respecting it. They have the people like a joke. You know, it's like you're telling them, speak your mind. Don't study them. They're easy to be bought.
But Carla, is not. I don't think it's that easy to break. You know, I'll tell you why.
Why?
You ever got a white envelope?
No, but
No, I never got one either. Edmund, you ever got one?
No, but he's raised a very
But
good point.
they're choosing people who are weak.
He's raised a very good
He
point.
raised a good point.
The government system should set up an undercover person or two to make an example out of somebody, and then they will stop it because it's something you
It's
can go to
against-
jail for.
it's against the
You
law.
can go to jail for it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, because
corruption.
you're teaching the youth how to do wrong.
Exactly.
That's the way to go in life.
Exactly.
Why you think the feds in here today? Because of kind of behavior.
Exactly.
You know, it's really wrong.
It is wrong.
You know, but I just say we is Christian-minded country, but we have some people is a part of the system and encouraging
But-
what's going on today.
While you're at that, a point just came to my mind. It's not quite on that, but it has to do with the parimutuel at the horse racing track. I am very much in favor of having that parimutuel.
Yes, because if we're doing the right thing, eventually open it. If we're doing the profession where we is,
Yeah.
eventually legalize it.
Yeah.
Because we're showing an example what we say we
But
is.
I understand that a horse racing track cannot work or function properly without it.
Right.
It is true, it is said that the churches are against it. But the churches gamble with bingo too.
Yeah, but they
I've
also,
seen the churches gamble with bingo.
they also having the church coming, the politician praying on them, giving them things and they playing a blind eye to them too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
But look, we spent millions of dollars on the racetrack. And we are now preventing it from functioning properly. It doesn't make any sense. That racetrack operation needs a parimutuel, and that is something we must have.
right. Now I ask a question.
Sure.
If you mind. You see the community center in Postle?
what?
The community center in Portsmouth.
Community center what them build.
Yeah.
I put out a thing and said that this community center should name after mother and daughter, Miss Christina and Mrs. Gertrude Warner Community Center.
That's an excellent idea. Those people have given so much of their lands to the development of Puzzle.
Right, because these people is who make we what we are today.
Okay.
You understand? These people lease us the land,
Yes.
some of us, and still turn around and sell us the land and make us have a home.
Exactly.
You know, so I said that if anybody in agreement with me, they could tackle me and tell me about it because
Well, Carla, I back you 1,000,000%.
But Carla, you know, somebody need to tell the puzzle story because a lot of people who came here, like say maybe 10 years ago or even 20 years ago, may not know what you're talking about. But no one is telling the story.
No one is telling the story.
now these people who had owned the estate, you know, and they gave us as outsiders the privilege to have our own home.
Yes.
You know, not a politician now they're saying that they give us house and give us land. This lady, and also to thank husband who had his lumberyard and Christian, who our mother used to go monthly and pay piece and piece for her board.
Yep.
You know, and I look at it that this community center should name after mother and daughter. The name will be Christiana. I don't know if the Christiana is the right name, Mr. Gertrude Warner Community Center. And I have to thank the NDP for went in there and bought that land from Christian. That's why it's there. Those guys went in there and bought that piece of property and had planned to move the coast from where it was and do a better thing inside there.
So you suggested it be named the mother and the two daughters.
Yeah, the mother and daughter.
Well, it's two daughters, you know.
No, what I'm saying, what I said, because the one who have the other part of land, she didn't sell anybody. She leased. She leased the land to others and wouldn't sell the people the land. But these two persons gave the church, Pastor Charles, the church, First Church of God.
Yeah.
They gave the church that piece of land, the first church, free. You know, so the mother and daughter, which I said, should names should go on this place. You know,
That's a very good suggestion, Carla.
Yeah,
I back that all the way.
Yeah, that's my view. If they have anything else, I will call back. So anybody disagree with me, they could contact me.
Yeah.
You know, because we should see something named after these two persons who make us where we are today
Exactly.
with property and
Exactly.
land.
A very good suggestion.
Very good suggestion.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, Edmund, you see, by a little bit of dialogue, you see, we could get some of our community
Exactly.
issues sorted out.
Right.
At little I know.
Look where that one came from.
Yeah, left field.
And this is why I say we got to be able to dialogue with the people.
Yeah.
We got to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And this is as far as I'm concerned, the best way to campaign.
Well, if you never heard me before, the road from Rotown to West End should be H-Lively Stuff Highway, and the one from town to East End should be named Willard Whitley Highway, and the Ridge Road should be Cyril Romney. We have three chief ministers that serve this country. Okay, all at all levels.
I'll tell you,
Yeah.
I don't want to forget Luther Scatley.
Okay, just 1
He
minute.
was one of the greatest road builders.
Good evening, Rich. Speak your mind. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, Carla.
Yeah, I'm calling because I just heard one of the previous caller mention about the churches. I have a question first and a subsequent comment. I want to know what role does the church play in our law making or our legal settings? What role do they really have? Any of you could help me?
Well, just let me give an example, and I've been talking about it in an indirect way, but you have hit it directly. Let us take the Constitution that we now have. Our constitution gives a satanic church, a satanic group, as much right to create a foothold in here in the BVI as a Christian church. I believe the churches have already objected to that. When you're going to put Satan and Jehovah God on the same level, something got to be wrong. And you know we have a satanic church in the world. They can come here under the constitution and do what they want. That's the part of the constitution I personally do not agree with.
Do they have a role in our law making?
No.
Okay. Then I have an opinion right now.
Let me just say something. Let me just say something before you say that, though. When you said, do they have a role in our lawmaking? Mr. Maduro answered the question correct. The answer is no, because we have a separation of church and state.
Right.
Okay.
But if you look at the makeup of our legislature, and you see that the majority of the members are Christians, so I rest the case there, because that in my opinion, if we're electing Christian people, then those Christian people are representing the church.
Okay, fair enough. But I have this point I want to make.
Right.
In these days, they are telling us that our treasury broke our government in this position. Gentlemen, every week our territory encourages and updates the outloading of money out of our community through these illegal lottery businesses, and the vendors and the perpetrators, the importers of these tickets are breaking the law. I said this as a problem, and I want to advocate the solution. Why can't we, as a country, institute our local lottery so that we could keep this money fluctuating within our country? That is one point, and that's straightforward. You find people smuggling tickets from Puerto Rico and St. Thomas, enhancing their economies, and the money is going out. I'm finding legislators, ministers, pastors, everybody with a bucket load of these lottery tickets, $5,000 weekly.
But
And Mr. Picasso, this money is leaving our shores.
You're quite right. You make a
Why
very
can't
strong
we keep
point.
that money in? Why
make a
don't we
very
keep our
strong
money to us? And another point that I have to add to that is this cruise ship and the gambling that they say would create a problem in our community. If we allow the ships to open their casinos while in harbor, and the people would not be on land, that also would generate more revenue with the tourists staying a little later, having dinners in our hotel, walking our taxis. I think all of this would enhance our revenue. And we need not to allow outdated legislation or these religious institutions hold us hostage, because the very pastors don't have a pocket full of tickets. This is illegal.
You're making
We need
some
to
good
regulate this.
sense.
We need to not be hypocritical. Mr. Maduro, how you raise the point about hypocritical government. This is one such case, and I want my people to listen to me now.
Yes.
The revenue that we're sending out to Puerto Rico and St. Thomas, we could have it ourselves. The people that selling, they could sell for us.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'll be listening.
Carla, you made some excellent points there. I agree with you. And I think we got to begin to think maturely. And only when we begin to think maturely, then in truth and indeed, we're going to begin to move forward. We need the parimutuel. I agree with you. We should have our own lottery situation.
Good evening, folks. I'll have to go back to you. Have a call. Good evening. You speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Good evening.
Good evening, Carla.
The last caller mentioned about the lottery ticket in Tortola. Well, from Rarity's time.
Turn your TV down, please.
Okay, hold on. From Rarity's time, I went to town, New Vernon in Kennecharwell, and introduced the Larity Stout, the lottery scheme, Social Security, and a housing project from those years. And Larity accepted the Social Security and he turned down the others, and that was it. But because from those, and yet from Larity time, it was a long time.
Yes, that's right.
And I introduced to him, suggested him to have those three things against his name, and he accepted just Social Security. Now this gentleman say tonight that we need a lottery thing to do, and I agree with him 100%. Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you very much, caller.
Thank you, caller. Now we're getting some
not only that, but we're getting a good cross section of persons because
exactly. Another call.
yes. Good evening. You're speaking mind. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
I have a
Speak
curious
directly into the phone, please.
idea. Okay, can you hear me clearly?
It's
A
better.
little better.
Okay.
That's good.
I have a curious problem that I keep looking at every time I go to the airport. Instead of using the parking lot, people are parking outside of the parking lot. So then, what is the purpose of the parking lot? Where the revenue coming in?
But caller, you know how much it costs to park in the parking lot?
Yes.
I think it's $10 a day.
But at the same time, isn't that the reason why the parking lot is there instead of parking on the road or the side of the road?
Well, let's put it this way. If a person is only going for a brief moment, why should they pay $10 for parking? Something is wrong with the system. That's why people are parking on the side of the road.
Caller,
Yeah, like I understand in short timing, but people are going away. They're taking a flight, but they're parking at the side of the road and they're just leaving.
Well, caller, and in a number of airports, they have short-term parking, long-term parking, and other types of parking. But we have no choice at the airport. You just have one type of parking. It's $10 a day, even for the airport workers. That I find that to be very ridiculous.
The airport workers got to pay for parking?
We think they park for free.
Man, what stupid is you telling me?
Yeah.
So then, therefore, they should review the system in how these
That's
things
a-
Well, I think a system like that should have come to the people, I think, before you implement high-handed, things like that. I think you should.
But that's the
you should
type of
dialogue-
government Courtney we having all the time.
They should dialogue with the
They
people.
don't dialogue with the people. They go straight ahead and do what they want.
By comparison, you might want to compare how much it costs to park a jet at the airport to how much it costs to park a
Pick a
car, and you might be very surprised.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay then, thanks.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for that observation and
Yeah,
that
bye-bye.
call. Yeah, you were doing a text now.
I was trying to get to some of the text here. Let's see if
You
I'm
know,
so
when people
lucky.
start calling, we don't have a chance to
You
do
know.
the text.
Good evening, folks. One of my queries is the internet access from cable and wireless. I'm not getting the speed I pay for, so I called and queried this and was told that I need only guarantee 80% of what I'm paying for. I can't recall seeing this on the initial contract. Can anything be done about this injustice? The TRC, that's all I could say.
Yeah.
TRC,
Very, very
that's the
good.
regulatory body that's
Right.
responsible for all the
And you
telecommunication.
can make all your complaints there.
Yeah. Good evening. If you speak your mind, go right ahead, please.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, I think that they need to concentrate on keeping more of
Could you
the
turn your television
revenue.
down?
Sorry. I think they need to concentrate on keeping more of the revenue in the country. For example, given the status to build, for example, the hospital that's still yet to be completed, they brought in foreigners. The people, I have nothing against foreigners, but the basics is that they're not from here. They don't have any businesses, family. They don't live here. What the little funds that they get, they take away. It seems like a little bit to them, but it adds up over the time, like into like millions, I guess. And they would take that money back home out of the country. So people who live here and you give them the jobs here to build a hospital, the money would stay here. People would shop in the supermarkets, buy gas. The money would be in the country. You won't be millions of dollars less out the country because the money has left the country, unless you had those people come in and work for free. Then I can't see no way that they have actually kept money in the country.
Well, Carla, I know you're specifically talking about the hospital, but what you're talking about is the multiplier effect of $1. And it's not just the hospital, it's everything. The more money you can keep in the country in circulation, the more money would be available for goods and services, for taxi, going to the theater, etc., etc. So your point is correct. We need to look at ways to keep money in circulation in the country.
Correct.
Yes, I agree fully. Also stating that the idea of some people called this evening and made a comment about the lottery stuff. I agree fully, because then a lot of that economy, it seems like a little bit by the daily amount or whatever, but it adds up over the years into the millions, and that could be looked into also. Lots of ideas. Generating money within the country is something that needs to be looked into. Any ideas that are positive and would move the country forward, I think it should be applauded.
Yep. As a matter of fact, the government can run the lottery system as a point of revenue, whether they do it themselves or they do it through a statutory board.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for that call, caller. Thank you for that supporting call. We're going to take a break now, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I am Tanisha Harrigan Scott, and I am here to bring you some exciting news from Digicel. Now you can talk more and text more for only $15. A great new price plan from Digicel, the bigger, better network. Have you heard? When you top up $15 or more, you get incredible deals with Digicel. Get 100 free minutes, unlimited SMS, and free weekends for 7 days to local Digicel numbers. Top up $15 again, and it will automatically be extended for another 7 days. For more information, drop by our store or visit our website at www.digicelbbi.com. Digicel terms and conditions apply.
Good evening, ladies. We're right back with you again, and you got
I have a couple of texts. Let me see if we could go straight to this one. So I need to know, if you're married to a Beaver Islander, how long before you gain status? And when you go right ahead.
My understanding of the Constitution is that you are belanger as soon as you're married. All you have to do is go to the Immigration Department and pick up a certificate. I don't care what anybody said. The Constitution is a Constitution, and we should live by it.
And that is based on the black and white of the Constitution.
The Constitution says if a Beaver Islander marries a person who's a British subject or overseas territory subject, that person is. It didn't say will be.
It says is.
It says that person is a belanger and has obtained a certificate to that position from the Immigration Department. We have a miscarriage of the law that should in fact be corrected.
We have a text here, Edmund. It says, good evening again, gentlemen. I am really fed up of locals complaining about foreigners sending all their monies back home when these same people are paying their fair share of taxes. Isn't it? Is unfair. Isn't this an unfair complaint? And isn't this an unfair complaint by our locals? I am a BV Islander and I am ashamed of these types of complaints. Thank you.
Well, Carla, let's put it this way. If we permit somebody to come to the British Virgin Islands by giving them immigration time and a work permit, obviously the money they work for is theirs.
Of course.
And they have to be able to send back money to their home.
Please turn your television set down, please. You speak your mind.
I can't see what they're talking about.
This person they're disconnected. This is a live show, you know.
I can't see what they're talking about.
I
I go
can't
to the
see
United
that.
States
And you
I
make
work.
some money, you do whatever you
I
want
send
with
my
it.
money home. It's mine.
Yeah.
It would be against human rights to try and tell people what they do with the money after they don't work for it.
This is another one, and when we get this one all the time, we're going to have an automatic answer for this from now on.
Which
Okay?
one that is?
Okay. Good evening. You speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Go right ahead.
Yes, go right ahead. You're live.
All right. Good night, Mr. Maduro.
Good night, caller.
The Castro, it's good to see you once more on the side of Mr. Maduro.
Thank you.
Now, it's a statement I would like to make.
Uh-huh.
You know, we are predominantly a Christian society. Of course, there are other religions and so on.
Yes.
And you know, I am one that doesn't see anything wrong if a politician, if a pastor, or one that calls himself a reverend, take part in politics.
In
In what?
politics.
But what bothers me really is that, you know, you have some of these leaders, these same reverends and so on. It appears as they are against gambling, or what they call gambling. I don't know how they look at it. You understand? But to make a change in society, you must enter into politics. When you look at guys as Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, the Reverend Martin Luther King, they make the input through politics into society. And I will be sure. I want the Christian community and the reverends and the pastors to think one thing. Upon one thing. The only time the Christ used brute force was with the money changers in the house of God.
That's right.
So they must be particular in what they want to do. We have to survive in the BVIA. It's a place of love. We have to survive. And if we do everything with caution, patient and good examination, we'll get through. I say this, horse racing is not bad. It's a sport.
Yes.
You understand? You have, according to Mr. Bedell, you have bingos in churches. You have raffles to raise funds. You understand? So I want the society, the Christian society, to look at things, to contribute, so that people have living easy. This is what life is about. I thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you very much for your call.
All right.
But Edmund, that's a view there in favor of what we were saying.
Yeah, that's exactly clear. It's made abundantly clear.
Yeah.
What he's talking about is the proper management of these things.
Yes. We have a couple of texts here. Let's see if I can get to them. Oh, one of them that came in, Edmund, was if a child is born in the BVI from parents who are not from the BVI, why they have to wait until they're 18 to get a passport?
If a child is born in the BVI,
Of
that
parents.
comes in every week.
That's what I'm saying. We need to have
Parents who are-
automatic. We need to get automatic answer
Parents
for
who are
it.
not
Yeah.
born in the BVI.
Yeah.
I keep on telling them it's nothing for us. It's the United Kingdom's
Yeah. Good evening.
government. It's not
If you speak your mind, please turn your television set down, please.
Hello?
Please turn your TV down, please.
Good evening. Hello?
Due to all respect, we love our Premier of the 9th District. I think he needs to give up his baton and give a younger person a chance to because we've working out and suffering a lot. So many hospitals, nothing.
Please turn your TV down. Turn your TV down and speak into the mic, please.
We don't have no proper health care, nothing.
Well, the hospital should have been built in Virgin God a long time ago. That's long overdue. You
I
there?
don't think we need to give him
You're not speaking into the phone. We were hearing you a little bit better. You need to speak right into the receiver.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, could you speak into the microphone?
I said we love our Premier very much, due to all respect of the 9th District. I think he needs to give up his baton and give someone a chance because we in Virgin God are suffering badly. No hospital, nothing. And it's long overbearing.
Well, Carla, I'm sure he's hearing you because these stations are monitored every Saturday night.
Caller, you're making a point that is substantially sound. You have a right to make that sort of expression. You're not the only one who is saying it. It's your constitutional rights, and as Mr. DeCastro just said, he will hear about it and your message should get across to him and he will be able to consider further what you have said.
The Minister for the 3rd District should be the first to go. He put the country in too much pain. That's a text I just got.
Again, that's a
The church tried to safeguard your soul and government tries to safeguard your rights. Well, that's
goes without saying.
Goes without saying. Good night. We, the BVI, have so many natural resources in terms of sun and wind. I think whoever governs this country in the future needs to take into consideration solar systems in order to cut down on electricity bills. Excellent
That's
text.
an excellent point. Excellent text.
Very true.
Alternative energy sources.
Alternative energy, not just solar. Well, we need to look at other forms of energy as well. Good night. I understand that a child born here of expat parents not entitled to a passport, but what I can't understand, why do they have to pay for time at immigration and obtain a visa to live here?
Again, caller, that's a regulation of the British Nationality Act and the British policies. I can see what you're saying. I mean, it's painful. Many people. Maybe another angle needs to be looked at to make life a bit more comfortable. And I can see your pain and I can see your queries. It is something that needs to be reviewed and should be.
Good night. You've reached Speak Your Mind. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Me again. I want to commend the farmer caller, the lady that just called, relative to the 9th District. And I want to let her know that help is on the way. Look at your ballot good and examine your ballot. Has come the time when Virgin Garden needs the attention due. If we're the #1 tourist destination within the island, it is a crying shame the state of our district is. I will suggest to the Premier and other district leaders who are of the same mind that rather than passing out these favors, so to speak, the white envelope, people gathering up all day to get a chance to ask for their personal favor, I would suggest that he would spend that money there on enhancing the island and the district. And and our natural resources, preserve them that we have. I really want the Premier, if he could make a desperate move to clean the community and rid the community of the garbage and the waste that has accumulated over a long period of time. In the 9th district, there's not even an office for the solid waste department, not an office. A young man drives around in a pickup and that's his office. He doesn't even have a government phone to operate with. He uses his personal phone to do government business on. I want to make a special appeal to the Premier. If you want the people to give you a chance, clean up our community the way we used to be. You don't need to pass out no personal favors and give no money to nobody. You need to take care of the district. And ladies and gentlemen, I am here to the rescue. I am going to take that baton and take it through the next 3 years. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for your call.
Caller.
Well, Edmund,
What time
we have a couple of text messages. Yeah, we have a couple of texts. Let me see if I could get to one of them, because we only have a couple of minutes more left in the show. Good night. My question is, does the immigration law apply to both men and women regarding marriage? This in reference to the earlier caller.
Yes, the immigration
Both.
and the Constitution.
Yes.
The Constitution makes it the same for a man as
And
it is for a woman. If a BVI lander man marries an
expat
woman, or if a BVI woman marries an outside expat man, the law is identically the same.
Yes. Good evening.
The Constitution is identically the same.
Please turn your television set down. Good evening. You're free speaking mind. Go ahead, please.
Hi, good night. I just have a few things I need to see.
Sorry?
I just have a few things I'm going to see. I'm not going to ask a question. I'm just going to see a few things.
Go right ahead.
High electrical bills, high cost for food, high cost for rent, high interest rates to pay back banks for small loans. Richard Branson and his bunkies, the guts in Paseo, bad roads in every other district except the third. Sewage problem, location of DMV, the incinerator, the wall in Seacoast Bay, the traffic lights, Bywater, the hospital, the greenhouse. The third district has the most voters, no money in the treasury. Nah. BVI, come let me do this thing.
A message from a caller.
A message from a caller, yeah.
I'm sure it went across. And surely I believe it was intended to be just as it went, and in fact that we will not interfere with such a well thought out situation. I want to commend the caller for really standing up and saying what they want to say. It is all in place.
Yeah. Well, Edmund,
You got 4 more?
no, we don't have 4 more. I think we probably read all of them. Something like that, a call coming in. Yeah. Well,
We said we had 5 minutes left.
yeah, they say we have some time left. One of the things I think that based on what the last caller said is something the banks here, a number of persons tell me they've been asking about refinancing their house and stuff like that, and it seems like they're discouraging people from doing that, and I think that is maybe not such a good idea, because by refinancing you can get better terms than you have, and also it might afford a person a chance to have some money, some equity from the property that they already own.
We got to wrap up now because the timing on that is wrong.
Okay.
So you could go ahead and wrap up.
Okay,
now
we got one text here. Let's see what it says. What if the person grew up here and got exemption and marries a person from another Caribbean island? I think that falls into the same category, right?
Well, if a person grows up here, it's not quite the same category because they can be given consideration from the Immigration Department and from the British Nationality Act. That could be done. But it's as simple as that.
Okay. Well, Edmund, we had a wonderful show. We were able to cover a lot of ground tonight. We got a lot of calls from persons in the community who expressed a number of issues. We touched a bit on the airlift question, the Beef Island airport expansion, or let's leave it at the airlift.
Yeah.
Since there's more than one option, we know there's more than one option available to us, and we talked a bit about the court case with the VIEC. We got a call from persons in agreement with what we said. We got some text in disagreement with some of what we said. We of course we continue to get this question about when someone is born here where they can't get a passport, and we try our best to answer it in terms of the British Nationality Act, but still a lot of persons still ask the question. You know, there's a calypso written on this whole subject, right?
No.
A local calypso. Yeah, there's a calypso. The guy that won the calypso competition this year. Yeah, he sang about it. So it's a topical issue, but it's not going to go away. And I agree with you. There are things that we can do to make life easier for people. We have not looked at it, and I think we need to look at it in a proactive way.
You're right.
Yeah, we went on to have good, lively discussion about a number of things. I mentioned some stuff about independence and what independence might mean. You didn't ask me what currency we're going to use. That's one of the things a lot of people ask. They say, "Oh, you're going to give away? You're going to give up using the U.S. dollar?"
But they did ask something about the currency tonight.
They did ask something about the currency.
And I told them it was more convenient because of our
it's
trade.
More convenient because of our trade with the U.S. Virgin Islands and the United States. And we must remember too that it was H.R. Penn that brought that to the House of Assembly.
Well, you
back in the day.
Something, yes.
Yeah, it was H.R. Penn that did that. The Honorable H.R. Penn, as it was, he was the one that made us, make that transition
to legally adopt the
U.S. dollar as legal tender. Yeah, that's right. We had a number of texts, Edmund. Of course, I've seen a bunch of them coming in now, and I wouldn't be able to get to those because, as you know, the show has reached an end, but we had a very good dialogue with the people tonight, and I think we have to continue in this vein as we get closer and closer to election.
Right, and Courtney, don't forget the fact that we mentioned the Beef Island development there and the court issue that is going on.
Yes,
and we also talk about the parimutuel for the
we did talk about gambling in general, and the lottery tickets.
And the lottery tickets.
That's correct, yeah. And we did of course mention the fact that Virgin Gorda needs some special care still, and we got representation from Virgin Gorda.
We had some strong representation from Virgin Gorda and Anegada.
And Anegada, yes. That's correct, yeah. So Edmund, all in all, I think we had a very good show, and I think we have to thank the people that text and the people that called, and continue to remind our people that this is their show, and you and I are the facilitators.
Right.
And we will continue to do our best to ensure that the show, brings the issues to the people of the Virgin Islands.
Courtney, I wish to remind the listeners, if they see tonight, there's a big difference. There's a smoother working operation, because we have to work together, we have to dialogue together. I have to look out for you, you have to look out for me. And what we want is an operation among both of us that in fact meets the approval of the public. So what we want to do really is to continue to serve the public in the best way. And I think tonight was one of the best examples we had. And we need to keep it up.
We need to keep it up, right. And on that note, Edmund, I would like to say God bless the Virgin Islands and the wonderful people that live in these islands, and good night.